As creators, how do we maintain momentum without burning out during identity expansion? There's a point in your growth where everything starts to move fast. You get more ideas, more momentum, more opportunities. And if you're not careful, the momentum turns into a type of pressure. And that pressure turns into burnout. Before we go any further, let's break down what identity expansion really is. Identity expansion is the psychological process of growing beyond current self-beliefs, broadening one's self-concept, and incorporating new skills, relationships, or experiences to increase self-complexity. Welcome back to Creator Metaphysics. Here's something that most creators don't realize. You don't burn out from doing too much. You burn out from doing things from the wrong identity. If you notice in that definition, you kept hearing self-belief, self-concept, self-complexity, self. These are all things that are going on inside of you, all things that pertain to your identity, how you see yourself, who you think that you are, who you say that you are, the actions that you take. But let's break this thing open. And once we do, we'll realize that first and foremost, burnout is an identity mismatch. Burnout doesn't come from work. It comes from misalignment. It happens when a smaller version of you tries to carry a bigger life. You'll find yourself doing more, but feeling worse. For me, there was a time I was doing more than ever. I was doing more creating, more pushing, more output. But I felt worse. More pressure, more tension, more exhaustion. And I thought, I just need to push harder. But pushing harder made it worse. Because I wasn't expanding my identity, I was forcing more output. Ask yourself, are you trying to do more without becoming more? Because that's where burnout starts. You see, momentum turns into pressure when you don't feel ready. Momentum should feel like flow. But when you don't feel ready, it feels like pressure. Because your system thinks it has to catch up to something it doesn't feel prepared for. Have you ever had that feeling? I remember feeling like I had to keep up. I remember a time when things started working, momentum was building, and instead of enjoying it, I felt a lot of pressure. I thought to myself, like, I have to keep this going. I have to keep up the pace. I can't slow down. I need to do more. Now's the time. It's now or never. And that pressure drained me because I wasn't moving from alignment. I was moving from fear. Be honest. When things start working, do you feel calm or do you feel pressure to keep up? Because that difference is what matters. You see, you maintain momentum by expanding capacity. Notice I didn't say you maintain momentum by doing more, or you maintain momentum by keeping up the pace. You maintain momentum by expanding capacity. Think about a water hose, right? There's pressure because you can only fit so much through that water hose. But to make it easier and to make things flow a little bit better, you could widen that hose, expand the capacity, and take a little bit of that pressure off. The answer is not more effort, it's more capacity. Because when your system can hold more, you don't feel overwhelmed by more. There was a shift for me when I stopped trying to do everything. And I started focus on how I was doing things. Slower, more present, more grounded. Not faster and feverish and trying to be everywhere at one time, but slower, more present, more grounded. And something changed. I didn't lose momentum. I stabilized it. Essentially, I became used to doing those things at that pace, and everything actually got easier for me. That's when I realized that momentum doesn't come from speed. It comes from stability. Stability leads to consistency. Ask yourself, are you trying to move faster or are you trying to become more stable? And if you're starting to see that burnout isn't just about workload, but about what's happening inside of you, that's why I created the Creator's First Shift. Helps you break down the internal patterns, creating pressure, the beliefs driving that pressure, and how to shift into a more grounded, more aligned way of operating, doing things, so you can keep growing without exhausting yourself. The link's in the description. Costs about the same as a cup of coffee. But the shift it creates in how you handle momentum, that's what keeps you consistent long term. You need rhythm, not constant output. You're not meant to stay in output mode. You need rhythm. Create, rest, process, refine. Create, rest, process, refine. Because constant output without recovery breaks your system. Ask yourself, are you giving yourself space to recover? Or are you trying to stay on all the time? And that's where burnout builds. You have to protect your energy. Burnout doesn't just come from work. It comes from energy leaks, overthinking, perfectionism, comparison, fear. These things drain you faster than the work itself. It's not the work that's burning you out. It's the feelings, the emotions, the background thoughts, the noise that happens while you're doing the work. Ask yourself, where's your energy going right now that has nothing to do with creating? That's what you need to clean up. We have to move with alignment, not urgency. You don't need to rush. You need to move in alignment. Calm, clear, focused. Because urgency comes from fear. Alignment comes from identity. Ask, what would the version of me that I'm becoming do right now? And then move from that. Remember, you don't burn out from creating. You burn out from creating as the wrong version of yourself. When your identity expands, your capacity expands. When your capacity expands, your momentum stabilizes. And when your momentum stabilizes, your growth becomes sustainable. And that's the shift.